All right, ladies and gentlemen, how's it going? This is Mr. Fritz here. We are going to be talking about rock transformations. We're going to focus on chapter 1 of our vocabulary. Our big question for chapter 1 is how did the rock of the Great Plains and the Rocky Mountains form? Because they're seeing these types of rocks there. We want to know how these rocks were made. So let's go through some of the vocabulary. As we proceed through here, what we need you to do is have your vocabulary sheet out, write the definitions as they pop up, pause the video when you need to, rewind if you need further clarification. At the end, you can write some questions if you have them to speak on for a future class period. So let's get started. First of all, we have to ask ourselves, what is matter? Not what's the matter, are you doing okay, but matter itself. Well, matter, as we reveal, is anything that has mass and takes up space. Anything that has mass and takes up space. This table is matter. It's in the solid state. This water right here is matter because it's a liquid, but it has mass and takes up space. Okay? Anything that has mass. The air is matter. It has mass and takes up space. And we're going to focus on a special type of solid known as a rock for most of this. As we proceed, what is a sample? Well, a sample is just a small part that is meant to show what the whole is like. And throughout this unit, we're going to be looking at different samples of rock and the different types of rock to see what the whole would be like, what these boulders and these mountains are made out of, okay? So a sample is just a small part that is meant to show what the whole is like. Sometimes I go to Sam's Club to get a sample. They're delicious. All right. What is a rock formation? Well, it's a region of rock that form together as a single rock type. So you have these rock formations, big rock formations that are made of a single type of rock. Typically all that's made in the same manner, and we'll talk about those in a little bit. As we go to chapter or lesson 1.3 in chapter 1, we have to define what magma is. I like to say magma. Well, magma is a hot liquid rock below the surface of Earth. So under the earth, we have this magma. It's typically in our mantle. Sometimes it comes up, and you know that when magma comes to the surface, it's known as lava. Okay? As we proceed, what is sediment? Some of you have heard this word sediment, but sediment's just small pieces of rock, little pieces of rock, little dustings. Sand has a bunch of sediment in it. You get a little bit of sediment in your shoe when you play in the sand. But sediment is just small pieces of rock. As we go to lesson 1.4, we're going to review sediment, but we're going to ask what is sedimentary rock. And sedimentary rock is the type of rock formed when sediment is pressed and glued together. So you get all these little pieces of sediment, and over time with enough heat and pressure, they get compressed together and kind of glued together, and that's where we get sedimentary rock. Now, what is compaction? Compaction is just the process of sediment being buried and pressed together. So the little pieces of rock that have been broken off through weathering and erosion, they get put somewhere, and with enough heat, pressure, underground, they get smushed, and now you have a sedimentary rock. Now turn your sheet over. We have two more words. What is cementation? Okay, you know what cement is, or cement in the parking lot. Well, cementation is the process of sediment being glued together. Okay, so that's where it stays together and it's sticky. Finally, we have what is igneous rock in this chapter. Now, igneous rock is the rock type formed when magma cools and becomes solid. So you see igneous rock a lot in Hawaii, but you'll see it other places. If you see the bubbles in it, typically it's a darker color like black, solid color. That would be igneous rock. Now, the key concepts that you should be learning throughout this chapter is, one, rocks can form in different ways. This causes them to be different types. So you have sedimentary rocks, and we also talked about igneous rock. There's also metamorphic rocks we'll talk about later. Key concept 2 is when sediment is compacted and cemented together, it can form sedimentary rock. So those little pieces, when you get them together, it forms sedimentary rock. And finally, the third concept that you should learn today is that when magma cools, it hardens and forms igneous rock. So when we watch videos of volcanoes in Iceland or Hawaii or wherever they may be, and once that lava cools, that's a new type of rock known as igneous rock. At the bottom, if you have any questions, go ahead and write them down and come check in with me. Now use your notes very carefully. Hopefully you wrote well. Use these notes for the notes check and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Good luck.